Okay, this is more readings. I'll title this one later, and here it goes. All right, this is Cartier Green Band pretending they were the Beatles. This one is really cool. And now I'm going to go reading again. Okay? I'm going to read. A volte vorreste evitare questi la qualità. Vai, allora vai, then go. Okay? The systematic stratospheric compactedness of a ritual's alignment within an abducted soul is burning our subconscious, like coal. So we were stolen from a soulful normality, and then later bludgeoned by reality. For obsessive associations are really devilish liaisons with the spiteful pattern of conforming burdens that may enlighten the starry-eyed sparrows with a petty flight that is narrow within its trajectory towards a more resilient peasantry, induced by the heavens, continuous portrayal of our conditioned wrath. That is as well part of our earth love ploy. We cannot really leave our bodies behind, but with a slight past misdemeanor, we can be kind in order to revolve around circumstance with a bewitching belonging of our need of seemingly glorious shortcomings. That our state of grace incorporates with logistical faith. The trial of a Kafkian denial is the true metamorphosis of a Judas kiss that may distaste the creative beast, but it is all truly pleasing when with love we are swooning with a bearded monster and condescending mobster we heed to the true call. And that is, it's hard to do. That Alice was really 4 foot tall, and not some giant angel that was hooked up on an extractive pole, courteously acting ever so guiltily droll within the irreality of serious objectivity that can also be freed from our minds without that hash of coke lines, because our brains have a tactical terrain that's properly integrated with the creative inevitability of cultural, even slight intellectual measure. That darkness is really a caring threat, that just like a blanket behind a non-embittered printer that makes your knowledge slam dunk it with the thrill of a legalized drill. If only we can bottle this mental nourishment without a cordial lament, and there's again abducting a rebellious quality that I cannot help, about being right, without the need for antisocial colleges that are not the universities of life, but are disenchanted souls upon their loving abode, with the whimsicality of scholastic discipline that may be for some, I sure will, only if we from it gain some more intellectual landscape, that our internal bareness is named allowing awkwardness and perfection to choose the right direction, and that is the grandeur of thought and artistic endeavor. That is the only real purpose and reason why we have a keen sense of observation and cannot deny, and it's always treasure, even our pensive states of non-pensive leisure. So that was one. That was okay. So we're going to another one. Just starting Italian, okay. It's a Canadian thing. What is a word but a scientific decree that enlightens you and me? So yes, it is a science with a defiance towards the celerity of life. There is a caring strive for it to foresee the future and analyze the past with an enduring creativity that is part of any particular religious legacy. For literature will never depart from our hearts, and its perturbing or cherished enlightenment. They read books around here a couple of months ago, man, that are path to the future governments, the path of our future governments. The last dropouts as intellectual knockouts, we will then please our intellectual tease with the glory of still being capable of weaving a story. The distant puzzle incorporated in capability and shameful ambiguity is like an Orson puzzle that upon me put a muzzle. For the word is truly the master. But some of us have to work with plaster, and then the plaster of Saturday night with the after a week's sacrificial flight. But manual labor is truly a strange work and endeavor, because it invigorates both the mind and soul while shoveling dirt or coal, forcing us to think logistically with a competitive and concrete literal reality, for being offended by someone who never dated. But the stagnant course of not working was judged by our mental health shortcomings. I have thoughts that displayed the bitter labor, but didn't a Canadian, this guy did Canada, some kind of creative, for bricks and hits mixed well and cement with cement, but some of us had our forces spent. So we lovingly and met as though unfortunately drank our 10th cup of coffee, often feeling like nobody, smoking it up and then failingly daring the cold, later indulging in brew that never made us feel that old. For its crispiness, with its liquefied vision, there is an amplified savior or beverage that I cannot drink anymore, that gave us courage to look at the waitress's cleavage, and then go out in frosty wind with a pension. They dare not begin with the utmost classification of a love and infatuation. For beer causes both. Merry Christmas cheer, and it's that for it. This is dedicated to Canada. Two diverse notions created a great nation, but it's still thwarted by the habitual neglected, and have the courage to possibly displace the barriers seemingly disgraced, that is truly enraptured by those that the sentiment became captured, and try to define and conceptualize it alongside a different country or perspective than all of Canada we understand more. It is truly difficult because we have a cross to bear, because we slept often safely within its flare. So the cohesion involved in mutual understanding happened years ago in our hearts. and he was permitted to lovingly go on their roams and crazy life, finding a later existential tree, and also challenging being free from our future torments and physical anguish, indulging in another country's bountiful caress. For in order to define ourselves, we must cherish our roots while we're walking amongst the sand dunes and maple trees with the heartache about. For rationalization is permeating through an all-encompassing creation, with the sanctified reciprocality of often bludgeoned normality or deep normality. The solutions from our parents' persuasion can be a difficult path to follow, but like a myth to a light, like a moth to a light, and a birch to a swallow, it comes upon us, it leads us towards the subconscious and amongst our kingdoms that are hollow. So beseech the wise men and women in us, and don't be afraid to call upon the differentiality of universality. So we often reckon and pursue unjust means, but that demonstrates that our humanity is permissively obscene. For it is the true propagation of our territorial dominance that must escape, according to someone's form or frame of work regarding some newfound spiritualized acknowledgments. But yes, this new Pope and the contradictory aspects of both environment and the products of such, discerning the old steer from the graceful young buck. What is up but a devout new pup that nourished itself with ill-fated and somewhat correlated wealth, for insufficiency is all you need. But this self-invigoration is a dismal notion because it's a Dionysian potion. Why is it dismal? Because it ain't legal, man. Yeah, but yet upon its future stately grace, the lies of cute little face that does not corrupt the unjust, because we all know that, like rapidity, like rust, like dust is like rock, is like rust, and it never sleeps. But it takes some cheap peeks at the enthralling thoroughfall of some subconscious soul. There is really a plentiful domain amongst the pleasant halls of shame, while we abandon ourselves toward torrid secrecy, and that is correlated with the northern winds, Yukon territory. There is strange truth to decipher because, as you see, we are the true masters over North American skies, often self-indulging ourselves with the glorious American wise that nurture our self-reflection. But it also makes us head towards the correct directions, like pronunciation and talking properly, absolving our apparent stagnation with a whimsical observation that is often boring and dull, but it's what created the ritualistic lull with the creativity of rhetorical pleasantries, often succumbing towards manifested destiny. This is not our fault, nor bewildered shortcoming. It is just that now we share a perturbed inkling. But this wholesale conditioning, which I got ready, must be dealt with detached coalition. There is truly a better fruition of soulful admission. Before the God began, God had many plans, had many families, manifesting his diversity amongst many infatuated land with humanity's need of explanation of the world's divine correlations, with the inexplicable devotion towards both pagans, Christians, and stubborn Normans that had to believe it, or else they would take leave from their bourgeoisie's ownership. But we often identify ourselves with these impossible reckonings because we are stupid, truly, and silly, and yet obligated to deceive our realistic shortcomings, merchandising spirituality as if this idiocy is part of our normality, the merchandising process. I like the fact that they sell things for that. So like animals, I just have a bad piece with all the gold that's in there. So like animals, we dodge strange bullets while generals savor the protective crumpets with the utmost attachment. God forbid they, like the courageous, go on the front lines, Bolsheviking, to perceive what even God could have defined. And God knew this, I think, sometimes he did it for a purpose, to punish us. So we'll never learn from God unless we stop warring and stop this war, but it's also, you have to remember that religion is important, but religion also causes a lot of conflict. The atrocity of war, that is like an enchanting war towards these discreet presidential bastards that could not have perceived the inevitable hazard in invasion and militarized awakening, fulfilling the soldier Bolshevik in me with the rant desire to set the world again peacefully on fire. How can you send the world peacefully on fire? You know, being a peacemaker will set the world on fire, will deceive. You can't do that. Mamma! Luna! È Luna! Sto facendo un video! Smettila per favore! È Luna! 4 o'clock. That's how I talk to her. Sì! Yeah, I got 17 minutes now, so I might as well. And close up. Look at the sun, look at. I'm real proud of my record collection. Okay, and the final song. Fragile, called that song. Caterpillar. Fragile. You know. And so you might as well pull album off of that. And go get King Crimson, the Crimson King. We're going to end it with the court of the Crimson King. And I'm going to end it with another quote. Gone for the actualized definition. For I am now gone for the actualized definition that is proving our thwarted delusion of both grandeur and so-called civilized honor. History and thwarted delusion of grandeur and the so-called civilized honor. For history, even journalists experts are exempted for a few unpredictable minutes from logistical analysis, but perhaps all you willing did was induce more rhetorical madness. For we, the enchanted, shall flash a big peace sign on your impotent groins while eating grits and Italian turkey, wishing that wishing that we weren't so goddamn perky.